But fear could not enter where faith resides. And when they asked me to leave, it was amazing that my brother was still conscious and requested that I stay. And because he said for me to stay, they didn't make me leave, nor did I change my posture. I was just like another doctor in the room. Because it's not time to kick into fear when you need faith to work. See, fear will cancel faith every time. The opposite of fear is faith. That's why the first thing God says, he that comes to God must first believe that he is. And he's a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. By faith, they obtained. By faith, they did. They took kingdoms by faith. So fear will cancel your faith. So I stood there in the realm of the spirit while they were about to lose hope. They were running in and out, injecting plasma, hoping. That was kind of crazy because they weren't doing nothing internally. They were just putting plasma in him, saying it was like putting water in a straw. It was coming right out. They had a bedpan in his mouth and they had one in his foot, and it was just, and out of his other areas, every opening, blood was coming. And faith will speak to fear and change the atmosphere conducive for miracles. And out of my mouth, because there was no fear, faith spoke. Are you getting this? Yeah. When there is no fear in your heart and in your mouth, faith will speak. And that's when you declare a thing, heaven gets involved and releases it by faith. Yeah. It comes by faith. Yeah. By faith. By faith. And when I stood in the room and I saw that God had changed the circumstances, there are always clues to when God is about to do something. My God. First of all, they didn't make me leave. So that meant I had a work to do. Are you hearing me? Your presence indicates that God has sent you to a place for a divine, miraculous season of miracles. So that's always been a clue to me. If I'm here to do something. I'm here to drive something out and bring something in. So what I did, as they tilted the bed and began to look, and they had the priest outside standing there, and they called cold blue, and they were running around. I said, you'll live and not die. Yeah. Because when there is no fear, the word that is in you will come up out of you and take precedent over the situation. That's what happened when they said, it is careful that we answer you, O King. Yes. Faith is now talking. Faith is now working. Yes. We be careful to answer you, O King. But our God is able. Why? Did he create that word? No. He stood on the word that existed. He said, I want you to know, where did they get that word that God was able to deliver them? Where did they get that word? It was a word that had already been put in there. Do you know God will bring the word in you that's up out of you, that's in you? So what he said, King, I'm going to be careful to ask you, but I want you to know the God that we serve is different from that image out there. He is able. We're getting ready to see him manifest. We're getting ready to see him work right now before our eyes. He said, and I want to get that on the record so that it can be written in the scriptures that when you bring fear in captivity, faith will produce a word that will cause a miracle. Now, when I said you'll live, I decree life in your body. The monitor went from 43 to 60 on up, and everybody turned around and saw God reverse what was supposed to be a death. And for about a minute, you could hear a pin drop because they didn't know what to do with the word that had come out of the lack of fear. Are you hearing male nurse, I'll never forget. He said, oh yeah, Paul, when we get out of here, you're going to all buy us a Burger King hamburger when we pull you through. But God had already pulled them through. Yes. See, because we become the ground for miracles when there is no fear. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because they think they're supposed to be afraid when they're supposed to have faith. What destroys you is fear. It's a deer in the headlights. It's going to get hit. If you cannot maneuver under circumstances, you're going to fall. So now faith is the substance of things hoped for, and it is proof until the thing actually gets there in the natural. So faith always precedes the physical manifestation. We're coming home from church in a winter season up north. And we are the first ones on the scene of a near fatal accident. Clue number one is if I'm there, then this is something that faith must be free to do. Are you with me? Always know this. If God creates an environment for you to show up where there is a situation that is impossible, He has assigned you there to allow you to operate in a level of faith where there is no place for fear. See, if you can do it, you don't need God. The Lord shows up only where things you cannot do. The woman at the well, the man at the pool, the woman with the issue, the daughter of Jairus. He shows up 3 days after Lazarus is dead. Why? Because what you can do, you don't need God to show up. So we show up. We're coming down Olive Street in South Bend, Indiana. An accident, before the police get there, before the ambulance, He always sends the faith people. First ones on the scene. Get out the car. Woman is laying there with blood flowing out of her head like a fountain. The snow is red. Her legs are completely broken off, and she's laying there unconscious with a teenage daughter standing over her. Now, I'm either going to stand there and watch someone die, or I'm going to do something about it. Why? Because her faith needs to be elevated. There's a crowd waiting on a miracle, well, most of them waiting on the ambulance. And God allows us to come from church and be there, the first ones on the scene. My God, what an opportunity. Jesus. No place for fear. But when you stand there and you bring fear into captivity, you allow faith to work. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, out of me, because there was no fear. I want you to hear what happens when there's no fear. Her daughter is screaming, hysterical. And I look at her and say, your mother will live and not die. She looks at me for the only hope. She said, God's not going to let her die. We just decreed life. She will live. She's looking at me as if to say, are you sure about that? I said, I'm as sure as an accident on the Dandelion Expressway. Now, let me tell you this. If I start thinking about what I said in faith, this mind can't comprehend